Bonjour, bonjour Lucas. Tu vas bien?
Plus calme aujourd'hui.
C'est le rush.
C'est le rush quand même.
Ouais, c'est quand même le rush, mais on va y faire. Mince. C'est ce que je voulais. Allô, allô, allô. Allô, 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 allô. Je parle. Oh, magnifique.
T'es juste attendre que ça sèche, mais ouais.
Ouais, c'est bon.
Ça, c'est à toi?
Oui, c'est à moi.
Excellent.
On teste, on teste, on teste.
Vas-y.
Les gens arrivent gentiment. Oui, maman. Très fort. 1. Je parle très très fort, très fort, très fort, très fort. Blablabla. Bla, 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 bla. 1, 2, 1, 2. Test mic.
I was out last night to forget about you. I was out last night, but I started to miss you. I've been feeling like a fool, and I started to miss you. What am I supposed to do to get back with you? Oh, I've been feeling like a fool, and I started to miss you. What am I supposed to do to get back with you? I miss you. I miss you. I've been feeling like a fool, and I started to miss you. What am I supposed to do to get back with you? Oh, I've been feeling like a fool, and I started to miss you. What am I supposed to do to get back with you? I miss you. I miss you. I was out last night to forget about you. I was out last night, but I started to miss you. I've been feeling like a fool, and I started to miss you. What am I supposed to do to get back with you?
Do you feel happy or do you feel...
I feel so happy.
What happened to this feeling, messianic feeling that you described before?
I feel that it's, if that's what I described, I feel that it's very valid.
People kill, people die, and children hurt, and you hear them crying. Can you practice what you preach, or would you turn the other cheek? Father, 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 help us, and some guidance from above. 'Cause people got me questioning, where is the love? The love, the love, where is the love? The love, the love, the love, the love, where is the love? The love, the people kill, people die, and children hurt, and you hear them crying. Can you practice what you preach? Would you turn the other cheek? Father, 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 help us, and some guidance from above. People got me questioning, where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love? What's wrong with the world, mama? People living like they ain't got no mama. I think the whole world addicted to the drama, only attracted to things that will bring you trauma. The love, where is the love? The love, the love, the love, the love, where is the love? The love, the people kill, people die, and children hurt, and you hear them crying. Can you practice what you preach? Would you turn the other cheek? Father, 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 help us, and some guidance from above. People got me questioning, where is the love?
People kill, people dying. Can you practice what you preach? Father, 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 help us. People got me questioning, where is the love?
People kill, people die, and children hurt, and you hear them crying. Can you practice what you preach? Would you turn the other cheek? Father, 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 help us, and some guidance from above. People got me questioning, where is the love?
Don't have to wait, you know my name. Sunshine and rain, some things don't change. Thinking about the days we were younger. Innocent in our ways, we were dumb, girl. But nothing really mattered, I could always count on you. Your touch will leave me breathless, so let me give it back to you. Sunshine and rain, some things don't change. Thinking about the days we were younger. Innocent in our ways, we were dumb, girl. When nothing really mattered, I could always count on you. Your touch will leave me breathless, so let me give it back to you. I could always count on you. I could always count on you.
Welcome everyone, welcome to the WebMardi. So before we start, I'd just like to say a few words about the WebMardi because I see a lot of new people here. The WebMardi happens usually every first Tuesday of each month. Of course, we're going to talk about web. The talks won't always be technical, so we'll also have like talks about how do you deal with pressure as a web developer, stuff like that. The talks usually last about 45 minutes, and then we have the apéro. So for tonight, the menu is the intro, the talk. Then we're going to have a little quiz where you can win a gift. So listen carefully. And then we have an open mic session. There you will be able to share about anything if you are looking for a job or if you try to find devs, designer, what you need. And of course, the apéro at the end. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Leap and Antistatic. Without them, we couldn't do the WebMardi, so thank to them. And tonight, we're going to talk about Terraform. If you remember, last WebMardi, we talked about Docker. And today, we're going to take a level above to discuss about cloud and how you can manage your cloud. So I'd like to welcome Eric Dupertuis for his talk. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Je te branche le truc, moi je me permets.
Tu peux... ouais, j'ai besoin de la place. All right. Can you hear me on the live stream? Yes. Is it all good? Yeah. Great. Oh, wait. What happened? Oh, this happened. Great. All right, thank you everyone for coming. I'm Eric, I'm a software engineer at Pix4D in Lausanne. And today we're going to talk about Terraform and mostly about infrastructure as code. So I'm a web developer, a software engineer, however you want to call it. I'm a motorcycle junkie. I play Magic the Gathering. I have way too many cards. It takes too much space in my apartment. And most of all, I like cloud computing. As I said, I work for Pix4D. Pix4D is, so forgot my notes here. So it's a professional, Pix4D specializes in professional photogrammetry and drone mapping. So for those that don't know, photogrammetry, if we take the Wikipedia definition, it's the art and science of making measurements from photographs. So you take pictures and you can make measurements, analysis, and everything. Oh, sure. Start. Everything good? Nope. Doesn't matter. All right. So yeah, photogrammetry. That's where I was. A quick example, just for the demo, for the show. You can take your drone, fly around Christ the Redeemer in Rio. Take some nice shots, put it through a software, and get a 3D model. So that's what we can do with photogrammetry. Great. So today, we'll talk about a few things. First of all, we'll talk about what's infrastructure as code. I will say IAC for short. What is Terraform and how does it work? And then I'll do some a live example, like for real. Okay, let's talk about what's infrastructure as code. That's why we're here. So, infrastructure as code has multiple benefits. Instead of the old way to do infrastructure, you'll have a system administrator who would come to a data center, hook up a machine, install everything, make sure it works, and be like, okay, great, it works, now we can put your code in it. It's a nice thing. It usually works. But then you're like, excuse me, you forgot something. Where's the test environment? Ah, okay, you take another machine, you do the same thing. And there's many ways you can make things wrong by doing this. It's not very easy to replicate. And then the database administrator has to do the same, and the guy that manages the cache has to do the same, and the storage and everything. And then you end up with an infrastructure that makes no sense. By storing your infrastructure in code, you have basically all the advantages of code. You can, yeah. So the main benefits, it's auditable. It's just like code, right? So you can read it, you can do code reviews on it, go through QA. It's repeatable. Since it's code, you have multiple environments. You can just replicate them indefinitely, and it will always be the same. And it's dependable. Because if you can't audit or recreate your infrastructure easily, you can't depend on it. It's not stable. And also, it avoids this. You go on vacation and you forgot that you left a very expensive... Oh, sorry. You forgot that you left a very expensive web virtual machine running. And for 2 weeks it runs and it costs a lot of money. So these are main advantages when you manage it through code. So versioning. If you manage it as code, you can put it in Git, for example. You can collaborate on it, make pull requests on your infrastructure. You can integrate it in your continuous integration pipeline. So if you have things like Jenkins or Concourse, for those that know what it is, it's very easy to put your infrastructure code in it, and when you want to deploy your infrastructure, it's just like deploying your web application or anything else. So you can automate it, and you can automate your recovery process, something that's really difficult to do when you're working with hardware directly. And no need to repair. If something's broken, destroy it and rebuild it again. Now, what's Terraform? All right, so Terraform is a tool developed by HashiCorp. You may know this company. They created Vagrant and some other things like Vault, for example. They make some very nice products. It's a tool that's developed in Go. And it's made to provision infrastructure from low-level components, such as virtual machines, storage and networking, but also higher-level components, such as DNS entries or access rights for your infrastructure. You can manage all that. All right. So Terraform is open source. It's available on GitHub. And one of the one of the advantages of Terraform is it supports a lot of providers. So, for example, AWS, so it's Amazon Web Services, for those that don't know, is one provider. DigitalOcean, you can create virtual machine on DigitalOcean, it's another provider. And Terraform supports 95 different providers as of yesterday. And I'm not counting community providers. Since it's open source, people can develop whatever they want and add it on Terraform. You can even develop your custom solution for your infrastructure. So if you have some local servers, you want to use Terraform to do that, you can create your own provider and hope it works. So tonight's plan, okay. We'll talk about a few things. First of all, I forgot to ask, so who has already worked with the infrastructure as code before? Someone here is lying. All right, so who has heard of Terraform before this talk or played with it? Played with it? Okay, played, yeah, play, okay. Okay, so a lot of people don't know what it is. So tonight, what I will do. Yep. But why am I not full screen here is a question. All right, it's better. We'll discover a language, a configuration language called HCL. It's a HashiCorp configuration language. We'll create. I'll show you how to create resources. So in a Terraform, a resource is, for example, a virtual machine. A virtual machine is a resource. A load balancer, it's a resource as well. So I'll show you how to create them and how to deploy them using just your command line. Now, after that, I will show you how to edit them, because what's the point to have an infrastructure if you can't make it better through time? And if it's not broken, you break it and you make it better. After that, we'll make this our code reproducible. So we'll make you will take what we created and make two versions that are the same. So we'll make like a production and a staging environment, if you will. Then we'll delete everything, because AWS instances cost money. So if I don't need to let them run, I will destroy them. And then we'll have a beer and talk about cloud, web, and beer, if you want. I really need to stop that. All right. First of all, we'll talk about what HCL is, because it's not something that you see everywhere. Basically, the only people using HCL is HashiCorp. It's in the name. So it's a configuration language. So you can see it's just as YAML, JSON, XML, whatever. From their own word, these are not mine. It's designed to be written and modified by humans. I'll let you be the judge of that. And it's designed to allow JSON as an input so that it's also machine friendly. HCL has a backward compatibility with the JSON. So JavaScript object notation. So it's easy to interface HCL with many other tools or convert existing configurations that are written in JSON, whatever, and to convert them to HCL. If you've ever written Nginx configuration files, for example, looks a lot similar. So, simple example from HCL. So here, we define a resource, and then we give it AWS instance. So this part is, we set to Terraform, we want to create a virtual machine on AWS. We can't choose the name that goes in there. It's specific to the provider. And then we give it a name. I will name it example. This is for you. This is the name you want to give to your virtual machine. Underneath, you have all the parameters of your resource. The most obvious one is the instant type. For those that don't know what AWS is, or if they haven't played with AWS before, an EC2 instance, it's a virtual machine in the cloud, and they have different versions of those machines. You can have small machines, bigger machines, some machines that have a lot of computing power, some that have a lot of memory. I actually have like a list here. So this is all the instances you can deploy on Amazon. It goes from a simple little machine with 500 meg of RAM that doesn't cost too much hourly, and it can go down to machines that are a bit more, let's say, beefy. Yeah, also you have, some of those you pay $26 an hour, so better be worth it. So the instance type, so you just define it. And AMI is Amazon machine image. If you've ever downloaded an operating system, like an ISO file from Ubuntu or Microsoft, it's basically the same idea. So it's the image of the operating system you want to run on the machine. So this is the basic overview of the HCL structure. So now I will do this live. So I will switch to my, all right, great. No, I forgot to open something. I think it's here, all right. This I can delete. Okay. Just to see, is it big enough for you to see? Yes. Has anyone a problem with seeing the text? No, okay, perfect. All right, first things you want to do, what cloud provider are you going to work with, or what service do you want to work with? In Terraform, you can work with many services. In the same file, you can say, I want to work with AWS, DigitalOcean, Sentry, I want to work with Jump Cloud, I want to work with Microsoft Azure. You can define them in it. Because actually Terraform, when you install Terraform, nothing works by default. So I'm going to do a first step. So just to make things clear here, I already installed Terraform on my machine. I'm not going to show that. You can just Google that. And I already configured my Amazon Web Service command line to function on my machine, because I don't want to show you this and show you my keys. This is private, all right? So first of all, we'll define a provider, all right? So what provider do we want to use this evening? It's AWS, because that's what I came prepared for. So we'll define AWS, all right. And one of the most important thing with AWS is to specify the region it's going to run in. AWS has many data centers around the world, and you can choose where you want them to run. For me, just to make sure everything works for the demo, I'm going to choose US East 1. The default one in most tutorials on the internet, you will find this one. They have data centers in Europe if data protection is like important for you. So great. We have a provider. Now, we need to actually install the provider. So Terraform can't use AWS by itself. It needs to download some code to be able to use it. So I'm going to invoke Terraform and init the project. It's an empty repository, great. Where am I? Oh, sorry. Okay, this is better. All right, so Terraform init. So here, it's going to download the plugin for provider AWS. Shouldn't take too much time. Yeah, great. Terraform has been successfully initialized. So now, if I look at my files, I have a .terraform folder, and this folder will contain what we need to use AWS. Let's go back in our code. All right, so I have a provider. Great. Now I want to create something with it. So we talked about virtual machines, so let's do just that. I create a resource. Yes, resource. Thanks autocomplete. So we want an AWS instance that I will name Web Mardi. Great. So as we've seen before, to declare an AWS instance, we need to give it an instance type. So instance type. And I'm going to go for something small. And then we need to tell him what operating system we're going to use. And this is the tricky part. Because this is something that's really hard to remember. Because you have to give it something that we call data. So a resource is something you create. Data is something that you get somewhere and use in your infrastructure. So what kind of data do we want here? We want a reference to the virtual machine, that operating system that we're going to use. So I'm going to define a new data. It's an AWS. Always, so every resource or data takes the provider first. And then we want an AMI. I'm cheating here, I have notes because it's hard to remember this all the time. And I'll just call it Ubuntu because we're going to create an Ubuntu server. Great. So I like to live on the edge, so I'll take the most recent one. True. Now, how do we get a virtual machine? In AWS, they have references. You can get them by name. But the easiest way to get it is actually to go through the documentation. That's the easiest way to get something. So take this and go here. It's always difficult to get this kind of reference because there's a lot to type and you're never sure what you have to get. I'm just going to change this because 1404 is kind of old. 1604 and it's not trusty. It's Xenial. No, it's in caps. Xenial. Much better. All right, we have now we have data. We have an AMI. We can use it. So I'm going to go back in my instance here. And OK, how do I use this data? I can't just type use Ubuntu. This doesn't work, all right? Here I'm going to call kind of a variable. So I'm going to use the $, open this, and I want the AWS. All right, sorry. It's data, AWS AMI, Ubuntu. .id. I think, yeah, it's .id. All right, great. Now we've defined actually our infrastructure. Congratulations, you've created your first infrastructure here. You have a virtual machine. Awesome. Let's deploy this. So there's a command for applying the changes. It's Terraform apply. This will generate a list of all the changes it wants to do and prompt you yes or no. We're going to start with something simpler. We're going to plan. Plan is just going to say, okay, this is the state of your infrastructure as it's currently, and this is the new state. This will change, this will not change, this will be destroyed. So if I do Terraform plan, it's going to update my state. All right, so let's scroll back up. All right, Terraform will perform the following actions. AWS instance, WebMardy, what we defined. Takes an AMI. Takes a T2 micro type of a virtual machine. What's the plan? The plan is to add something, change nothing, destroy nothing. I'm going to roll with that. Plan, Terraform apply. Sorry, I will just clear. Terraform apply. So it will basically do the same thing, except that it will prompt us to take action. Enter a value. You can enter only yes. If you type yes with 2S, it won't work. They want to make sure you don't destroy your infrastructure just because you typed a little too fast. So let's do this, all right? Now it's going to compute some things. And I can go back here, go to my EC2 management console. So this is the AWS console for those that have never seen this. And great, we have something here. We have an instance. So I have a virtual server that's being created. Instance state, pending, it's initializing. Great, things are working. Sometimes it takes time. When you have a bigger infrastructure, can get quite long sometimes, especially if you destroy everything and recreate everything. If you have a lot of resources, we're talking in the hour maybe for some things. It can take quite some time. So great, it's running. We have a machine. It has a public IP. Great, awesome. But there's something weird here. Can someone point to something that's bad? Yeah, it's missing a name. So this is a part of the talk where we'll apply change to our infrastructure. So we'll go back to our instance. Oops. And add a name. All right. So this is something you kind of have to know. Of course, when you create your infrastructure, you have your nose on the documentation all the time. So I'll add a tag. I'll add tags. The tag here is basically name. It's case sensitive. What did I screw up here?
Wrong block.
Oh yeah, wrong block. I'm in a provider. Thanks, James. All right, tags, name. All right. Shall I call it WebMardy Rocks, for example? With Z and S mixed together. All right. So now we've changed the infrastructure. We need to apply those changes. So I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to clear that. Terraform. Apply. All right. I will apply this. Seems a good idea. So now what Terraform will do is going to read the state. It's going to see, OK, a virtual machine is running. It already exists. I don't need to destroy it or to create it. It already exists. I just need to change a few things. So here, instead of a green line, we have a yellow one. It says, OK, it exists. I just want to add this name. OK, let's do this. So we'll modify a few things. And if I go back here and reload, bim, I have a name. And this is great. But typing a name directly in the code, it's kind of bad. Don't do that. So you can use variables in Terraform. So I will create a a file. A new file. All right. I'll call it variables.tf. So a TF is the extension for Terraform files. There's actually two different file extensions. You use .tf for your files, and you use .tfvars if you want to give variables to the script. Because if I define a variable here, like don't remember here, variable. Let's call it EC2 name. All right. The variable, we can give it a type, and it's going to be a string, right? Character string. What happens if I try to apply this? No, I forgot to. All right. It's going to ask me for a value, because I defined a variable, but I gave him nothing. So here I would have to type a variable. I could type anything. The variable isn't used anywhere, so it's going to do nothing. It's going to say, okay, nothing to change. Great. What are you doing? So here, if I want, I can use this variable. So I'm going to go here, use my $sign, my brackets, and var EC2 name. Let's try this again. Terraform apply. And here I have to give a value. Let's call it webmardi rocks part 2. It's going to refresh the state again. All right, great. Let's apply the, oh, sorry, mistyped something. Ah, god damn it. Part 2. So while this is running, I can show you other things. So great. But if you have a lot of variables, every time you have to give them in the script, it's not great. You lose a lot of time, especially some variables never really change. So we're going to create a new file called, don't remember, I named it last time, but terraform.tfvars. And here I'm going to say, okay, EC2 name, was it the name of our variable? Yeah. EC2 name is going to be called webmardi. Alright. Yeah, this I don't need to apply because I will change it. Now I define what kind of variable I want in this file, and here I can give the variables that I want. Don't try to give it something else than a string. Don't give it a map or something else. Terraform won't be happy. Let's Terraform apply this. Refreshing state. All right, perfect. It took my variables from the file. Everything works. So you can see it's really easy to apply changes to your infrastructure. It's just you edit your code and you apply, and things simply work most of the time. This is a simple example. Of course, you can create more complex infrastructure. So now, talking about complexity, this is cool, but we have a single instance, right? We have nothing else. So what if I want a simple EC2 instance for production and a simple EC2 instance for staging? So I will introduce something called workspaces. Workspaces, you can see it as two different environments, and each environment has its own Terraform state. So there's a command that allows us, it's Terraform workspace. And this will give us all the available commands for the workspaces. So we can create a new one, list all the workspaces, we can select one, so which one we want to work in, and we can delete a workspace. So when you create a new, you initialize a Terraform project. Typo. No. I can do it. Terraform. All right. When you initialize, you have the default one all the time. It's how it works. So we'll create a new one. Workspace. This new, and let's call it production. All right. Created and switch to workspace production. This is important. Something I suggest if you decide to use Terraform at your job or for your project, create a script for bash or fish or whatever shell you use to specify what workspace you're using. Because it's really easy to do, oh, I'm going to Terraform destroy my staging infrastructure, and you're not on the right one. And once you've typed yes and entered, it's the end, all right? So great, I'm on my own state. So the difference here, the state is empty. If I Terraform apply, I don't have a virtual machine. He hasn't created anything, he switched workspace. So if I Terraform apply, it's going to refresh state, and basically tell me, I have nothing. But you defined an EC2 instance in your files. Let's create one. Okay, let's do that. And I create. Let's go back to our here. All right, great. 2 instances. They're on the same account, but they haven't been created by the same Terraform state. Now we have another problem. They have the same name. And you say to someone, just SSH into the production machine and fix it. Yeah, great, thanks. So we talked about variables. Variables are cool. It's let's say that it's useful. And let's just add something to the name. So we still want our instances to be called WebMardy. This doesn't change. But I'd like to have WebMardy default and WebMardy production. Luckily, Terraform is nice and give us, I don't remember if it's var Terraform or just Terraform. It will yell at me if it doesn't work. Terraform.workspace. And this will actually just return a string of the current. So, yeah, still works. All right. So if I go back here, all right, one was added. We've seen this. Let's read Terraform apply. Yeah, if you work with Terraform, you'll type Terraform apply a lot. I suggest you create a macro on your keyboard to just make it faster. Great. It uses our workspace name. Let's apply this. So it's going to run, do its thing. And now we know which instance is production one. So now we've created a totally replicable environment, right? If I decide to destroy a workspace, I can just create it again. And we talked about versioning and everything. Now imagine you just have you have Jenkins, you have a continuous integration pipeline, and basically for some part of your infrastructure you want to do testing. In the pipeline you say, okay, create a workspace with this branch name, just like in Git or in Mercurial, and build the infrastructure and make a perfect clone of it. And that's all the power of using tools like Terraform. So now I'm going to clear things. All right. Now, let's nuke things from orbit. I don't want to keep my Terraform defaults running. So don't forget, workspaces are important. If you list, it will say, okay, you have 2 workspace, this is the one you're running on. I want to destroy the default one. So I'm gonna mistyped again. Goddamn. Terraform, workspace, cards. I can do it. Select default. All right. I don't like this server. It's causing me problem. Terraform, destroy. So this is fine because I'm just running a single instance. Be careful when you're applying this command. Because if I do this, here I have a single instance. But if I have multiple resources, Terraform destroy will just prompt you. If you type yes, everything will be destroyed. So there's a nice command in Terraform. It's called target. Sometimes when you're working on your infrastructure, destroying everything and recreating everything takes time. And maybe you like to drink coffee between them, but when it takes 45 minutes each time, it's a lot of coffee to drink. So they have this target command where you can specify which resource you want to destroy or to create. So here it doesn't really make sense. I have only one thing. So basically it's the same command except that it will be longer if I use this one. But I will just show it for the example. Terraform, I will destroy and I will target. And the target take AWS instance. It takes the resource type and the resource name. So AWS instance dot webmardy. And if I had like a big data center, it would just destroy this single instance, not everything else. This is particularly very, very important. If you create, for example, if you create DNS with Terraform and you destroy them, if you recreate them, they have to propagate again. So be mindful of these kind of things. It happened to me once. It's not funny. So no. I cancelled it because I made a space before the yes. Yes. All right. Destroying. If I go to my EC2 console, my instance is shutting down. So what's amazing here is all I did, creating, giving name and everything, I don't have to go through Amazon's UI and click everywhere and create instances and select what I want to use, and this takes a lot of time. So you can make things replicable indefinitely, because making an infrastructure that you can just recreate or redestroy at will multiple times, if you have to go through this UI, yeah, you're going to make mistakes along the way. So, think that's pretty much everything for the live demo.
Can I ask something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Since we like code and code reviews and
yeah.
can we use code to delete VMs? Like you did it manually, but can we use the code?
What do you mean, use the code to delete VMs?
Remove the instance from the description and to apply.
Wait, repeat, please.
Can we remove destroy the machine
by
removing the resource from the code?
Yes. If you remove it, it will remove everything.
Is it
no. Well, yeah. So the main difference here is, for example, here I destroyed my entire workspace, so there's no virtual machine running, but I can create it again if I want. If you remove it from the code, it will destroy it. But it will also destroy it if you apply changes, because it will realize, oh, in the code this machine doesn't exist anymore, so it will remove it. Plain and simple. So if you want to, for example, let's say you deploy the cache server with Terraform, and you don't need it in your infrastructure anymore, like at all. Like you can just scrap it. You can remove it from the code. But if you Terraform apply and it's removed from the code, it won't create a new machine, a new cache server. I don't know if that's clear for you. Okay. Great. I think that's pretty much it for the live demo. Don't think I have much else to say. I skipped the prerequisite, but it's fine. So thank you, everyone. Thanks for listening. If anybody has questions, I guess it's now. I have some time, so ask away. Yeah, sure.
You showed us how to create, destroy, and apply some changes on your server. How do you do to start some script to initialize some stuff on the server?
Yeah, right. Okay, so this is something I skipped. Thanks for reminding me. Terraform is a tool to deploy infrastructure. It's not configuration management. So you can, if you create a whole bunch of virtual machines, they're just that, virtual machines. They run this OS from AWS. If you want to deploy things in it, you have to use another tool, like Ansible, for example, for those that know what it is. You will deploy your infrastructure with Terraform, and Ansible will deploy, will use scripts to deploy, for example, if you need Nginx servers on your machine, or if you need to deploy some specific software. Terraform can't do this. It's not the tool. So you have to use another tool in conjunction to Terraform to achieve this goal. Yeah, sure.
Or you could use your own AMI.
Sorry?
Or you could deploy your own AMI.
Sure, well, you can deploy your own AMI. So I've never done this before. I know it's possible. I've seen a tutorial on how to do it. Never implemented myself, but yes, sure, you can. It's not a trivial task, but sure. Yes?
Is there an abstraction across providers?
No. So it's provider specific. So you can't say, I want a load balancer, 6 servers, and a database server, and deploy it on AWS, DigitalOcean, and Azure. You can do that. So it's really provider specific. You can do multi-cloud, but you have to create your infrastructure for each cloud. That would be perfect if you had a layer of abstraction for sure, but it would be also a lot less flexible because AWS, for example, has a lot of feature that other cloud providers don't offer. So
You can do that with modules. And
yes, you could do that with modules, but it's another part of Terraform. I'm not going to talk about this now. But still, modules can't solve everything, because there's still features you can't find in some cloud providers. So in any way, you have limitations. So most of the time, I don't know all the companies in the world, but I don't know many companies that use a lot of multi-cloud deployment. So any other question? Yes, in the back.
When you showed that we can, when you put apply,
Yeah.
put some variables during the apply process in order to, for example, change the name or something like that, can you also do that with, like, for example, an if condition, so that during the apply, it asks you if you want something to go either on Azure or on AWS?
No, you can't do that kind of things. Not yet. This has been a big complaint of Terraform users. You can do logic, really, in HCL script.
Okay. Can you have, workspace-specific variables?
Yes, you can do that. This is something you can achieve. I can show you. So this is very important. This is something, I could talk about. I have a few, do I have a few minutes left? Yes, yeah, great. Okay, let's say, for example, you want to define a variable that depends on your workspace. So I don't know, let's just call it test. Oh, this is a screenshot. So you can give it a type, and you can give it type map. So for example, here I can define test and I don't remember the syntax for it. Oh, sorry. Whoa, bit slow. Can't really remember the syntax. Sorry. Hmm? No, I'm just gonna. I'm lazy. Input variables. Oh, type map. All right. Here. So as I showed you before, you can define. You can use the Terraform.workspace to get the name of the workspace as a string. Oh, it was here. All right. Variable. Okay. So, for example. God damn it. Yeah, I think the OBS is kind of killing my machine. I can kill it, yeah, because it's killing my. Oh, come on. All right. Goodbye, OBS. All right. Oh, much better. All right. So, for example, you can have a production. I don't know, 1, and default 2. All right. I hope my map is correct. And here, for example, you could say the name is var. I will remove this. It's var.test, and since it's a map, you can. I think it's like this. Terraform.workspace. So here it will go take a variable depending on your. So if I go here, I do clear, and I do Terraform apply. Oh, right, I destroyed my workspace. But WebMardy2, right. So I'm in a good workspace. It's taking the default, so it takes 2. Does that answer the question?
Can you just go back to VS Code, please?
Yeah.
Can you use variables inside the resource line? So, for example, like on line 5, instead of putting an AWS instance, can you use variables? No.
Here, no, you can do that. No, the provider name can dynamically generate this. You wanted to deploy like multi-cloud stuff by declaring variables dynamically? Yeah, some people have thought about that and it doesn't work. There's many issues on Terraform on GitHub that asks for this. Okay. But there's going to be an update of HCL soon. And the Terraform 0.12 should bring some cool features, but should have landed yet, but nobody really knows. All right. Any other questions? Nope.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you very much.
Je te repasse la place. Tu utilises un autre adaptateur, toi, non, pour l'écran?
Right now we'll play a little game. It's a Kahoot for those who know. So you will have to bring back your.
T'as fait, ouais, il manque l'adaptateur.
Your phone, smartphone.
There's something I forgot to talk about during the talk. I'm sorry. It's going to be in the Kahoot question, so it's going to be good luck for this one. I apologize. I kind of forgot about this.
So take your phone. If you don't have internet, just bring me the mic, please. I will need it. Just need this board. Okay, great. Great. I hope live stream heard me. Not sure. Ah, c'est moi qui fais. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so but for the Kahoot, I need the Kahoot screen. So let's go to kahoot.it. Perfect. Full screen. Where's the mouse? Okay, so everybody is on the kahoot.it. You can just enter this number. The big number on the screen. Which one? You know the one. The only one. Don't want to play? I don't have net, or maybe a smartphone. So there's 2 people. Let's go now. Once it starts, you can join. So yeah, tell me if you're not it, because if I start the couch, you cannot join. So the URL is couch.it for those who don't see it, and the number is numbers on the screen: 11, 12. And the speaker can't play. Yeah, I don't say it. Where's the gift? Where's the gift? Don't show it. Just tell me where it is. Okay. No, just keep it hide. Keep it hide so people. Everybody's here? Someone's missing? Okay. What's happening? It's not working? So how it will works, you will have some question on this screen, and you have the answers, but you do not have the full answers on your phone. You will just have some shapes. You will choose the correct shapes. It's quite confused, but it's pretty easy to use. So the first time it's quite, what the fuck? And it will work fine. Everybody can do it. Ready? Yeah, the second question is okay. Okay, let's start. So, who will start here? Because if you don't remember where you are. Name one benefit of infrastructure as code, so the question, on the 4 potential answers. Auditable, stable, versatile, or bulletproof?
Just to make sure, speed is important.
Yeah, speed is very, very important. I don't say it. And if you answer correctly some question one after another, you get bonus point. So yeah. Oh yeah, pretty like nearly everybody's got the correct answer. With Joy Fulgator? With Joy? Nobody's Joy. It's not possible. I mean, we all. It's someone here. Don't lie. Who's the second one? Glad? Glad? Yeah. Okay, so Joy is mysterious. If you win, you will have to come here, so yeah. Which company is behind Terraform? Oh, it was on the cover. Come on, guys. DigitalOcean, Red Hat, the Linux Foundation, or HashiCorp? Everybody answers, I think. 26 answers. Oh no! Oh, it's IBM. Oh no, come on. Oh, Glad first. Rational Squid. With Rational Squid? And with Diligent? Oh, yes. Ah, yeah. People are shy tonight, you know. They don't want to say they play. What language do you use to define Terraform resources? JSON, YAML, HCL, XML. Oh, come on. Someone's pretty like the yellow answers. That's why you already click on it. It will be okay for once. Glad still first. Okay. 15 people just answered correct, strict 3. So, in what language is Terraform developed in? C++, Go, Erlang, or Rust? I don't know. I don't remember.
I said it. It was discreet, but I said it.
We say Erlang, just for shaming. No. Glad still. Come on, guy. Rational Squid, right behind you. What's Terraform general file extension? Terra, HCL, TF, Ter. I will say Ter too. It's not easy, this one. Oh, sorry. Resources in Terraform are specific to the provider. True? False? Depends. Okay, it was 50-50. It's a complex one, no?
No.
Oh, come on.
I said it like 5 times.
Glad? Oh my god. Rational Squid is like 1 answer from you. Who's Glad Kitten? Oh, 3. You have to be first. We have only 1 gift tonight. Yeah. Which Terraform command is used to make changes on your cloud infrastructure with Terraform? What a long question. Don't remember the question. Terraform create, Terraform apply, Terraform YOLO. Yeah? Maybe it's Terraform create.
Oh, that's a bit smart.
I will answer Terraform YOLO just for, you know. Oh, someone just, it was the red one. Rational squid first. Like 5 points from the second, so. There's 2 questions, I think, yeah. Which command will wipe clean all the infrastructure you've deployed so far? Destroy, nuke, remove, clean. Nuke. Oh, the answer. It was quite long, this one. Oh, someone say nuke. 2 people say nuke. Ah, I can see who.
I'm gonna make a pull request.
I can't.
Make it as an alias because it's too good.
It's perfect. Oh no, Glad is back first. Diligence second. What? 2 diligent. Who is Raven? Who is Hen? You're Raven on your hand. Bald deer, first time on the ladder, no? I mean, who is bald deer? And red sloth? Okay. It will be the last question. No, not the last. Which argument is used to deploy a specific part of your infrastructure? Target, resource, restrict, specific. No ID. Seriously, no ID. Target, certainly, yeah, target. Oh, one guy just say resource. Nice. Okay, last one. Last one, and
oh, it's close.
Like everybody can win because it's like 1,000 by question. So, where is Terraform state stored? It's the worst one I see on the question. So, S3, MySQL database, a file or configuration. It depends. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So who's the winner? Glad Kitten. Where are you? Who? So, what do you win? Where's the gift? Ah. So what do you win? A book about Terraform. Who's the second one? Glad Ostrich? Oh, you're right. And Raven, it's one of you, no? Yeah. Congrats, guy. So yeah, this is what you win. Yeah, it's better with the animation. So yeah, what's next? You want to continue or continue mine? Okay, by myself. So yeah, what's the next? The next meetup will be on March, the 5th of March. You can already subscribe on Meetup. We will announce it like maybe 2 days. And it will be about the imposter syndrome. So it's the fact, yeah, in the open source community, you have often people saying, I can't do it by myself. I can't do it because I know people and they do it better than me. So I have the imposter syndrome when I say that. And the open source community, there's a lot of people saying that. Just, I can do that. He do it better than me. And it's wrong. So yeah, you should come because it will be very interesting. It will be at Antistatic, 5th of March. Let's subscribe on Meetup. Follow us on the social networks if you want to just know or get on the live stream. And right now we have the open mic session. So if you want to say something, if you just want to hire someone, you're looking for developers, graphic designer, whatever you want, just come here, just say something. You can say it to the live stream too, if you want. If you have a meetup to promote, if you have an event to promote, everything, if you have an open source project you want to promote, maybe, whatever. Someone? Because I have lots of stuff to say, so just let me talk. First, just want to say that yeah, there is on March the mountain camps, the Drupal event, and you can still attend. I will speak there about open source in a panel of 5 people, I think. So yeah, if you just want to take part of this great community of Drupal, you want to just to do some open source stuff for the first time, it will be for just, I mean, it's made for beginner too. So yeah, feel free to come. It'll be very great. Go to the website. You have something to say, no? And you can ski, yeah, right. I don't ski, that's why I don't say that. I don't do that much sport, you can see it. There's the DevOps Geneva too, DevOps Days Geneva, sorry, in February, like maybe in 2 weeks. There's still some tickets, I think, so if you want to go there, it will be in Geneva for the first time. And yeah, the last one, but not the least.
Exactly. So thank you, Kevin. So we're still looking for developers here in Lausanne or Fribourg, even in Zurich. We also have an open position for BizDev, PO, product owner. So just check out on our website. Does anyone want to share something? Oh, yes.
You need the mic or?
Yeah, better with the mic so everyone can understand you.
I'm working for Scuba. It's a company based in Bern. Oh, okay. So I'm working for Scuba, a company based in Bern, and we are actually looking for DevOps, kind of desperately. So if anybody is willing to apply and to maybe move to Bern and have some home office day in Lausanne, that is possible. But yeah, just feel free to apply or come to me. We'll be happy to interview you and have a chat.
Are you only looking for like fixed people or for contractors as well?
It has to be discussed. I don't know. But yeah, everything is open.
Oh, great. And it's a beautiful city.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Someone else wanna say something? Maybe go to the apero, it's better? Okay, so let's go. Thank you very much for coming tonight. And have a great day.